Okay, welcome everybody to the Arundel Secondary School Post-Secondary Pathways presentation. I know a lot of you have been asking, when are we going to start? When can I apply? And what do I do about post-secondary education? So we're going to answer those questions for you in this presentation today. So next slide. Okay, so I'm Dr. Ross. If you don't know, I'm your guidance counselor for the Alpha A to F. Ms. Downer is for the last names G to M, and Ms. Bridgman, that you just spoke before me, is the last name letters N to Z. Okay, so before I get started with this presentation, I just want to say that take ease in that you're not just starting this now, but rather we're actually near the finish line. So since about grade 10, you guys have been having multiple sessions that have been run through the guidance department, where we have taken you through mock research for different programs. We've exposed you to different research sites. We've discussed high school requirements, diploma requirements, post-secondary pathways. A lot of that type of information you've had access to and experience with through these workshops we've been running with you for a couple of years now. So now we're actually just near the finish line where it's time to implement. It's not new, but it's time for you to now implement the plans and the ideas that we've been working with over the past couple of years. So I will just give a very brief overview of what do I need to graduate. So if you are considering applying into post-secondary education this year, it is very critical that you do have the graduation requirements. So as a brief reminder, to earn your high school diploma, you have to have a total of 30 high school credits. Okay, 18 of those credits are compulsory credits. 12 of those are optional or elective credits. You need to pass the literacy test requirements, either through taking the OSSLT course or if you've taken the OLC course. You also need to, and this is a big one, complete a minimum of 40 hours of community involvement activities. Okay, that is something that's very critical that you don't leave to the last minute, because unfortunately, these are mandatory and you have to have these in and verified before you have the ability to graduate. And not having those in on time will impact you from being accepted into university or college or even some trades programs because you won't have your actual high school diploma. Okay, and then 2 e-learning credits. Those aren't mandatory, but you could have chosen to take those. And if you did not choose to take 2 e-learning credits, you can just have an opt-out form signed where you come to guidance, we'll give you the form, you can have your family sign it, and that relieves you of the obligation of having to take any e-learning credits. So they're not a requirement. You can still graduate without them, you just need to get a form signed. Next slide.
Okay, so we're going to talk about resources. So again, all of the information that you're going to hear today it's being recorded. So you can find this recording posted to our Guidance Brightspace site. So that will be there for you by the end of the week. And also there's a handout that looks just like this. And it's going to be hot pink, and that's going to be given to you by the teacher you're with right now. And you have an opportunity to scan a QR code to access a lot of these resources. The handout will also be posted on Brightspace. We'll probably have some in guidance. So all of the key dates and all that information is also on a handout. So you have both a digital version and a paper copy. So that's helpful. And with the digital version, there are lots of live links to a lot of the websites. So you'll see a lot of the information is repeated in multiple locations. And again, this should not necessarily be all new to you because we have run through lots of other presentations and shared resources in the past. So part of this presentation is just, again, to remind you of the pathways, to remind you that all pathways lead to the workplace. So regardless of whether you're pursuing an apprenticeship, college, or university as post-secondary study, eventually, once you are finished the studying for or the program specifically, you will be entering the workplace. So that is really the goal. And also to remember that even though you might be applying for a specific program and you may finish that program, that we're all lifelong learners and you never stop learning. So you may decide to take one route out of high school, and then you may decide to go a different route once you've worked for a few years. You may decide to change into a different industry, but do the same job, or change industries altogether. There's lots of change, and nobody stays in one job for 30 years anymore. It's a very different world, as we know. And so we have to remember that this is just one step beyond high school, the door you are entering and exiting into the world. There's lots of different opportunities. So please keep that in mind. So we often ask you where you're headed after high school, because again, as lifelong learners, we want to make sure that there's a next step, and we're going to discuss what those next steps are. We don't say, what do you want to be when you grow up anymore? Because really, there are many different career options and you will evolve and change as a person. So we don't think of things in a linear manner. So we wanted to introduce you to an apprenticeship, just as a little refresher. So an apprenticeship is hands-on work, and it's an educational pathway that combines on-the-job training, work and technical experience, and certification for a career in skilled trades. It's important to know that an apprenticeship can take between 2 and 5 years, and between 5,000 and 9,000 hours before a person is officially certified. But the key point of an apprenticeship is that you are both working on the job and you are also in school. So this diagram here shows you kind of a curved road, if you will, where you're starting on the job and you'll be working under a journey person who is a registered journey person. They maybe have a Red Seal apprentice certification. And then after doing the on-the-job training, you would be then moving into some in-school components, which would be delivered through one of our Ontario colleges, and then on the job, in school, etc. So it really depends on the skilled trade that you decide to pursue as to how long the program is. But at the end of it, we know that there is a certificate of apprenticeship. That's of course the goal. There are exams the person must take if they are necessary or available for that trade before you are officially qualified. So there is a wonderful video that we're not going to show you, but it'll be linked here for you to watch independently. That just gives you more information about apprenticeships. You have to go through the government to be able to register as an apprenticeship, and you must have a certified journey person who is willing and able to take you on as an apprentice. And you must do the legwork to find that journey person. There are lots of resources and websites to be able to help you, but a lot of it is also networking. So please be mindful of that. A lot of folks who start and would like to start in the skilled trades may take a college path before they pursue an apprenticeship. So just wanted to show you here that this graphic shows you 4 different sectors which are connected to the skilled trades. So industrial, construction, service, and motive. So you can take a closer look at this. We have posters in many places around the school. It's found online as well. But you'll notice that the maple leaf, looks like a red dot to you, indicates what is a Red Seal trade. And its Red Seal trade means that it's an interprovincial standard that you would adhere to. So you can move beyond provinces. So if you are a Red Seal person who's a cabinet maker and you've done that qualification, that you could then work in another province. It's not just Ontario. So that's important to note, that if you want to live in another part of Canada, that you might consider pursuing a trade that you could then earn your Red Seal qualification or accreditation. The websites here, ontarioskilledtrades.ca or skilledtradesontario.ca and apprenticeship.com, are very useful for you to explore. And another useful website is connected through the Ontario Colleges website, which you'll be looking at a little bit later. But the Ontario Colleges folks have also a skilled trades website that takes you through some more information about college trades and how you can go to college first, maybe for a pre-trades experience, and then decide if you want to continue pursuing that through college or if you'd like to just pursue an apprenticeship. So there's a few different ways around it. So it's best that you meet with your guidance counselor and have a conversation about what is right for you when you're looking at apprenticeships. Okay, Dr. Ross.
Okay, so if you are considering going to college, going to university, or even going to both, because oftentimes college is a jumping point to certain university programs, or often different schools have collaborative programs between both. There's a couple things you need to consider. So college is a place that offers certificates, diplomas, advanced diplomas, and various different applied degree programs. For college, you need grade 12 English, so ENG 4C. One thing you do need to pay attention to is for some of the advanced diploma programs and a couple other programs at college, while the majority of the college stream courses do apply for applications for their schools, some of the programs do actually, in fact, need ENG4U, which is the University English. So that is something that you do need to get clarified before you start applying to make sure that you are taking the proper leveling in courses. Okay, there are some collaborative programs or joint programs that I mentioned that connect universities and colleges. Okay, program requirements will vary for these. Some examples include for very popular nursing at McMaster University in collaboration with Conestoga College. Brock University and Niagara College do a joint video game design program. There's a business administration program, very, very well renowned. That is a collaboration between Guelph University and Humber College. These are the type of programs that I mentioned that sometimes have different requirements than some of your more standardized college programs. So it is very key, and I will discuss this after shortly. It is very critical that you do check to make sure that you have the proper pre-requirements for these programs to apply. And moving to the next slide. Okay, university. Universities are degree granting institutions. So most degrees at university are 4 years in length. Okay, and for these, you need 6 grade 12 U or M level courses to apply. ENG 4UO, so University Stream English, is a mandatory course for all of the programs. So every program has different course entrance requirements. So again, you have to be sure to check all of your program requirements, but ENG 4UO specifically will be a requirement that all of them need. And you also have to check the balance of some programs allow more M-level courses than others. So these are things that through your research that I'll discuss in the next slide, you do look into, or you can always come and ask your counselor for support to clarify any of that gray area you may have. Okay, so continuing with that, with the research theme, research is important. It's key. Okay, and as you do more research into the different programs, okay, oftentimes some students do view it as an abundance of information and it can seem overwhelming to you. However, I do want to shift your vantage point a little bit to look at this as not an impediment where there's just too much information, but actually see it as an opportunity to see what is out there for you. Okay, this will help put your mind at ease because it'll provide clarity for you. There may be opportunities, maybe programs that you didn't even know existed that align with your interests. So doing the research actually is a step towards narrowing your focus and your scope and putting your mind at ease as opposed to just jumping into a pool of information and getting confused and fearing that it's just too much for you. Okay, so see this as an opportunity to actually see what's behind the door, what programs there may be for you in your future, what pathways are available to you, because it might actually excite you to know that there are things out there for you that you didn't even know existed. So this specific website is for the Ontario University. Sorry, just go back for a quick second. As you can see for the ouinfo.ca, you can see that there are 3 different things you can click: find a program, choose a university, how to apply. Each of these will, even up top, you can see there's programs, universities, finance, applications. Each of these tabs have drop downs and you can look up programs by their specific subject. You can look up, let's say, you know what, I'm not really sure what program I want, but I know what school I want to go to. Well, you can pull it up by the school, okay, to see what programs that school has to offer you, okay? And one important thing, in addition to looking at the different programs and pathways, I do suggest you click the finance button as well, because there's a ton of information about how much the programs actually cost, the payment structures, OSAP, when due dates are to pay certain things. And again, I'm going to reiterate this very frequently throughout this presentation. As you are looking through the programs, check the prerequisites for the program, because if you do not have the prerequisites, no matter what extras you have, they will not take you. The very first step is often a sorting process, and that sorting process, the first thing they look at is, do you meet the most basic requirements of the prerequisites to be able to apply to our programs? And if the answer is no, you will not be considered. So that's something you have to make sure that you have looked into. Next is a college. It's the same search engine mechanism for colleges. So the Ontario Colleges websites, again, you can explore by category. You can click the program. You can drop down menu to the specific college. I know for some colleges can be very, very far. And maybe you want to go somewhere local, like Sheridan, that's very close by. You can look up Sheridan, all the programs they specifically have. Or let's say you're going into, let's say, a earth science program, and you want to go out to somewhere like North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, out to that end of the province or somewhere in Canada that has those type of specialized programs. You can look up the colleges that are at specific locations as well. So next.
Okay, so we're going to talk about what information do Canadian schools seek? So we get a lot of questions about grade 11 marks and what people see at the either OCAS or OUAC, where they're essentially clearinghouses for marks. So what information do they actually see? So they see only your grade 11 and 12 marks. They'll see your first and second semester midterm marks, and also they'll see your final marks. So really the marks that they will be focusing on for admission are first semester final and second semester midterm grade 12 marks. Okay, those marks are uploaded electronically by our school board to OCAS and to OUAC. So OCAS, the Ontario College Application Center, and then the Ontario University Application Center. So those two clearinghouses, they will receive the marks from Peel. There's nothing you specifically need to do. Another thing, so a lot of American universities, it's a whole different process, and we'll talk about that briefly in a moment, but we want you to know there are no reference letters from counselors required to apply to Ontario schools. So you may have a reference that is put in for a specific program. You need to ask us specifically to be a reference for you if require that. And sometimes that just requires us putting our name in a portal to vouch for you being a part of a certain club or whatnot, but it's not in the form of a letter. So that is not something you need to think about at this time. Some faculties and programs may ask you to complete what's called a supplementary application. We find that more and more schools are asking for this because it allows for students to be able to share information that tells more of a story about who you are and what you've been involved with in the school, or perhaps speaking about your lived experience or other information that might be pertinent to your application, or perhaps why your marks are exist in a certain way. So if something happened to you, or you would like to give some background information, that would be an opportunity to share information in a supplementary application. That could take form of an essay. It could be a questionnaire, and sometimes they are mandatory and sometimes they're voluntary. Other parts of supplementary applications could be an interview. It could be something different that we don't know about yet, because schools are coming up with new ways to connect with students. Also, I would say the format of the supplementary application may change from a traditional essay into something more like short answers, because universities are very aware of the use of AI, and they want to make sure that any supplemental information is actually written by you as a prospective student to that school. So, and they are really not interested in hearing what an AI chatbot has to say. So, something else you should know about is some highly competitive programs. Again, we kind of talked about the interview here. So again, that would be scheduled. You would have lots of in-depth knowledge and preparation. And again, it's to see your strengths and for you to have an opportunity to connect as a person. Some programs ask you to do a healthcare related test. So something of that nature. So it really depends on the program that you're applying to and really the school. Okay, they're not necessarily specific to the school. It can be specific to a program. So all that information, well, how do you find out about that? That's all in the details when you're doing the research about what the supplementary pieces look like. And that exists through the previous website as well as any of the program websites that you may research. So also key information, what is full disclosure? The term full disclosure is the time when colleges and universities can see all your grade 11 and 12 marks. So there is going to be there's a date, and actually it's in November, and that date is the last day you can drop a course. And I believe we're actually trying to do the 17th or the 18th. We want to make sure we've been able to speak with you and your family if you are looking to drop a course so it doesn't appear on your transcript. Okay, and then there's a date in semester 2 in April as well, the 26th, and that is the full disclosure date. So please know that you can drop a course with no penalty up until that time. But again, this is an individual conversation with your counselor. Okay, so how do you apply to an Ontario university? So you would do that through the Ontario University Application Centre website. You would choose Group A because you are a Group A applicant. There's Group A and Group B. Group A is if you're currently enrolled in an Ontario high school. Group B is if it's for someone who's perhaps been out of school for a year or more. So what you need to have in order to apply is your Ontario education number. That's what an OEN stands for. That information is available to you on any report card that you may have. So hopefully you have saved some report cards, printed report cards. We can also provide that number to you, and because it's on your status sheet and we have it in our system as well if you don't have it. So we do recommend a 10-digit password that includes a capital letter, a number, and a special character when you create your account. That's just for the utmost security. We also recommend that you use your personal email, not your Peel Gmail, just to make sure that you have this account separate, as at some point you will lose your Peel Gmail after you graduate. So just to ensure that you have that through communication through next summer when schools will be contacting you. It's a hassle to have to change your email address, so please use your own personal address. Applications are open, so you can go to the OUAC website and you can apply. They always say late September, so they didn't provide a specific date, but so you can go and you can explore that. But there is no rush to apply this week. We really recommend that you take your time, you do the research, and then we'll talk about the actual deadlines right here. So the important OUAC deadline would be for equal consideration. So all programs would be January 15th, 2026. That's the latest date to submit an online application for equal consideration. So that's you competing with anybody else in the province or internationally. All of your applications will be considered equally up until on January 15th. You need to know that you can still apply afterwards. It's just your application would go to the bottom of the list. It would be in order of application. So, okay, so it's not like the website completely shuts down on January 15th. It doesn't. We still have lots of programs that continue to be open. There are lots of programs that continue to be open through May, June, July, and August into the summer. So if you don't fit into your program of choice, that doesn't mean that that's all you can do. You can always apply to a different program. So keep that in mind. So these deadlines are for equal consideration. The May 28th deadline is the date by which universities must respond to your application. So a lot of people worry about when they're going to be accepted. So some folks ask about early acceptance. Can I apply early? Well, you can apply now, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be accepted now. In fact, a lot of highly competitive programs will wait for those supplementary application deadlines. They want that information. Sometimes those supplementary application deadlines happen in November and December, January. A lot of them happen in February. And then with the highly competitive programs, they wait for second semester midterm marks quite often. And they aren't distributed until April. So you may be waiting into the month of May until the end of May for an offer. So just be prepared that people receive offers at different times, and it does not mean that you will not receive one. So June 1st. June 1st is the date that you need to respond to your offer, and that you would likely need to make a financial commitment of some kind. So you need to have a deposit ready to submit to secure your place. Residence information, all of that comes up later. So once you apply to university and then also to college, that's when they start potentially, and then you accept, they would then send you information about the next steps, like residence, for example. So a place to go visit this weekend would be the Ontario University Fair. So it's happening this weekend, every Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 to 5 p.m. And it's at Metro Convention Center. It's a very big event. There's lots of people who go. Doesn't really matter what time of day you go. It's going to be extraordinarily busy. However, it's worth going just, again, to meet with those representatives, if you have a lot of questions, you can meet the people in person and they can answer those questions for you. Something else you should be aware of is we are going to have a lot of schools come to Erindale, and we have a schedule of dates that has been posted and sent out through Brightspace already. It'll be posted in the hall, and those are the dates that you can meet with those university representatives here at the school as well. So, okay, we recommend that if you do go to this, register for an OUF pass and make a day of it. So, okay. All right, and we're going to talk here about applying for out-of-province universities. So that is a separate experience. It's a separate online application. We'd like very much for you to tell us if you're applying for an out-of-province university. You plan to go to UBC, let's say, or Newfoundland, or Nova Scotia seems to be a hot province for a lot of students applying to Dalhousie, for example. Every institution has its own application fee. You will be required to send a transcript separately. We can support you with that. Royal Military College has its own application process, and things are quite different on their website, so you would have to look into that. OUAC, so will assist with sending marks to certain institutions. They collect your academic data. They will share it, if you offer that permission, to the following schools here posted on the site. So some in west, out east. So have a look and see if you plan to apply outside of the province and if OUAC will share your marks. So that's something to look into. Okay, I'm going to throw it over to Dr. Ross for information about American schools.
Okay, so how do you apply to an American university? Most of the schools use the Common Application System, also known as Common App. Okay, for most schools, you have to take the SATs prior to applying, and you should check with the university to see if this is required, as some schools now the test is optional. This process is independent. So your guidance counselor will need to provide some information. So like reference letters are often what will be required. As well as we have to then go and upload your documents such as your transcript into the system independently. It is not automated like the OUAC system is, where they collect the grades from the school at the school level. If you're planning to apply outside of Canada, please let us know. Now, one thing I will reiterate is that, especially amongst the US schools, there is a ton of variance in the US state to state, school to school, where the prerequisites are different for same programs. The process to apply is different for the same programs. The supplementary application is different for the same programs. So this is all information you will have to independently seek out and clarify, because we are versed in the Ontario schools in Canada, and the American schools, that again is an independent process. So please do, if you are going to apply to an American university, do your due diligence and give us enough time to allow us to be able to give you and upload these documents that you do require for that application. If you do come the day before and you need, a reference letter for 6 schools, we always try our best, but on such a tight timeline, quality, may be compromised. We may not have the opportunity to sit down, go through all the great things you've done, all the achievements you had, and really get to know what you would like us to speak towards in those reference letters. So time in advance is always a better thing for the quality of the letter, plus just for your own application process. Okay, and the next slide. I can take this. So let's talk about college. So certain occupations require a college diploma. For example, paramedic, dental hygienist, ECEs, certain trades that are more skill-based, they do like to see a college diploma. Specifically, programs for these at colleges often do focus both on academics and career-related interests. Okay, one great thing about these is that these courses are taught by instructors who work in the field. So if you're taking an electrical program, a dental hygienist program, an ECE program, a paramedic program, you are getting the opportunity to be taught by instructors who are actually in the field, who can provide you with real life examples in their teaching, because they're also working the job alongside teaching that course to you. They also offer a lot of top-notch learning facilities where you can get hands-on and use tools in pretty lifelike live scenarios. And they often offer co-op placements and internships to allow for experiential learning as well as hands-on skills as you're kind of learning the theory behind what you're learning to do. And there are often many pre-college programs, okay, to explore different arts, trades, sciences if you're not sure. So the colleges do have these pre-prep programs, these pre-college programs that, let's say you know the idea, the field, you're not sure what within that field you want to do, or you really just want to almost have a sample. These are shorter programs that you can go in, you can get dip your feet in and see really if this is for you, because again, this is not your final life choice. This is also an opportunity for you to really finish finalizing what it is you want to end up in. And as Ms. Bridges said earlier, all of these lead to the workplace. So the workplace is the end of the path here, and this is a step in that direction as well. Okay, so Ontario colleges as well, they offer, as I said, a large variety of programs designed to meet the needs, again, of that evolving workplace that we mentioned earlier. So at college, you can obtain any of the following credentials, okay? So you heard me mention this earlier with the different diploma, advanced diploma, etc. So specifically, if you're doing a college certificate program, that's earned in under 4 semesters of college. If you're doing a diploma, this is earned upon the completion of 4 semesters, so 2 years of college. An advanced diploma is earned on a completion of 6 semesters, so that's a 3-year timeline. And if you're going for a bachelor's degree, which some of those schools do offer, that's earned upon the completion of a 4-year program, which is also very similar to more along the university type timeline. And there are 27 colleges in Ontario to choose from. So I'm not going to list them out here, but you can see them. And when you have time, please do revisit this presentation if you are interested in college and check them out. They're located across the entire province. They all have a variety of programs and great learning opportunities for you.
I'm just going to jump in here for 1 second because I also just want to let you know that there's something called the Learn and Stay program, and it's mostly college based, and it's something where if you want to study in a community that perhaps is underserved or in the north or the west, so outside the GTA, you could apply to specific programs, mostly healthcare, nursing, paramedic, and you could apply, and if you are accepted, and you would need to commit to staying in that location to work a year or 2 beyond your diploma or degree. and you would have your tuition covered. So it's a way for you to experience a different community, to gain some financial independence essentially, and to not graduate with debt. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we will put some information out about that as well.
So for the college admission requirements, and this is going into more detail what we mentioned earlier, courses at the U, the M, and the C, so university, the mixed, the college, and the O open level will be considered. Colleges usually do look for up to 6 courses when making offers. ENG4C or ENG4U is the one mandatory credit. So that is anchored in as one of the 6 courses that they do look for. Your grade 11 and 12 courses will be used for early admission purposes, excuse me. Once you activate your application, colleges will look at the prerequisite marks at the grade 12 level. So if you don't have the grade 12 course, they will look at your grade, or they'll look towards your grade 11 marks. And the entry averages vary, again, program to program, usually starting around the mid 60s and then upwards depending on the competitiveness of the program. And just please do note that these are general. Each school and program will have specific requirements of their own, which also links back to it's very important that you do, when you're researching your programs, confirm the prerequisites as far as courses go, the grade that they're looking for entry, and any other variables that they might list. So how to apply to college. So the OCAS, so the Ontario College Application Service, college application website is where you will apply. So you'll go and you'll create an account at ontariocolleges.ca. You'll apply to programs and submit the applications to OCAS, which is again the Ontario Colleges admission application website. There is a non-refundable fee of $150 Canadian to apply to college through the Ontario Colleges site. And the application fee includes up to 5 program choices, no more than 3 maximum at any one college. And the programs must start within the same academic year. So that would be August to July. And your application will not be forwarded to your college choices until the application processing fee has been received. So even if you do go and you complete the entire application process, but you haven't paid your fee, they will not send it off to be verified and to be assessed until that fee has been covered and paid. Other fees may apply in addition to the $150 application processing fee, including transcript request fees for some institutions and a $5 transcript processing fee. Okay, some important dates for college. So the Ontario College website, apply to schools in Ontario through this site. So October, generally you would, this is a suggested timeline, but some key dates are definitive. So on October, you would generally research the schools and the programs. In November, semester 1 midterm marks usually would get sent to OCAS. In October to January and ongoing, you begin to submit completed applications. And very important to understand, February 1st, the application deadline. So you need to make sure that you are having your application sent in by that time. Please do not leave it to the last minute. If Wi-Fi goes down, it gets spotty, there is some confusion or your computer glitches and it doesn't want to upload documents, and you are doing this at 11:59 on the last day of January, you will have a much larger problem on your hands. You'll have to contact OCAS directly. They may not accept your applications, and it's best to just avoid these impediments to you reaching the next step of your stage of your goals. February, the earliest date colleges will give you an offer. So even if you do apply in November, you probably won't be hearing back from them until that timeline. May 1st is the deadline for you to accept any offers that you were given. And then June 1st, you do have to make a tuition deposit which is due.
Okay, so again, to remind you, all of those dates are on the handout that we also are providing to you. So you've learned about college and university and how to apply and the timelines and the cost, and also the opportunity to perhaps transfer from college to university or to take a collaborative degree at a college. So what if that is a lot of information and you're not really sure what you should do? Well, then we would recommend taking a gap year to figure that out. So a gap year essentially isn't a year to just go to bed and sleep and hibernate and hope it all works out. It's a planned and purposeful break from your full-time studies so that you can take a year on, be active, and try to explore personal interests, strengths, different career areas. It's an opportunity to work and earn money for your future studies. Perhaps it's a time to participate in an internship, or maybe you'd like to travel. Maybe you'd like to go see some relatives that you haven't met before, and travel with people who have different schedules than a school schedule. Maybe you're upgrading some courses, you're taking some credits through night school or summer school. But a gap year, to make it a great gap year, it should have a sampling of everything that I've described above. And it should be a year to build excitement and a year to think about where you want to go after high school and what, where you would like to live. A lot of the decision making happens kind of organically as you learn about different schools, learn about different pathways, and how take the time to visit campuses. So that takes a lot of time to do, and you're busy with your grade 12 year. So we highly recommend that you do visit a lot of campuses and you go to the open houses and whatnot. However, if you need more time to do that, then perhaps that could also be built into your gap year. So just consider it. It's a conversation, and it should be a conversation with you and your family, but we can help and support and provide resources. There is a website called an organization called the Canadian Gap Year Association. I've linked the resources here. They're excellent, and that is their whole focus, is helping students to plan purposeful gap years. So take a look if that seems like something you might be interested in. You also might like to go straight to work. Maybe it's not so much a gap year for exploration, that perhaps you just think you might want to work before you go to post-secondary. So there are lots of opportunities that you can explore through different websites. There's different organizations that can help and support with employment. So this would be different than just a part-time job. You'd be looking more for a full-time job. So we highly recommend that you take advantage of some of these different employment agencies to help you develop your resume, cover letter, and to focus on work that is maybe more permanent. So you know that, again, we want to continue to say that everyone is a lifelong learner and they can always return to school after pursuing some work for a while. I know that in everybody's role, in every workplace, you're continuing to learn and to take courses and micro-credentials, etc., to be able to better yourself. And so going back to school should just be something that everybody knows they can do at any time, no matter what their age. Okay, we're going to switch gears here for a minute and speak to folks who have an IEP, so students who are supported by special education. So that is something that you must learn more about if you're planning to go to post-secondary, and how you can continue to have those accommodations at your post-secondary institution. So accommodations at university and college, they must be arranged through your chosen school. And they have departments, typically they're called accessible learning departments, and you must meet with them prior to starting at that school. So usually this appointment could occur in the summertime. I would recommend that once you have been accepted to a certain program, you reach out to that accessible learning department at the school you're going to be attending and read what information they need from you. Likely they'll need your most recent psychoeducational assessment. So it's encouraged that if you've had an assessment completed before, that you be reassessed at some point in your grade 12 year. We do not do reassessments here at the school, so that will be something that you would need to pursue privately. So, but sometimes there's OSAP funding that can cover that, and sometimes schools offer opportunities for assessments as well. So it's best to connect with that accessible learning department at the school and see what other supports they can offer. They'll also need to see a copy of your most recent IEP. So the IEPs will be sent out quite shortly this fall. They're being created now, and we strongly encourage you to download your copy and keep it on hand, because you will need to upload that and share it with the school. And then they'll create either a learning plan. They don't just transfer the IEP, they ask you to go through it to see what accommodations that you have, what ones you might need at the school, and they will share with you how they can accommodate you. Okay, so they may not be able to offer exactly what you have in your IEP, but there's always room for discussion. So that's where that begins. And if you're 18, you'll be having that meeting on your own. But parents, we recommend that that you also be a part of that meeting and help bridge that transition into post-secondary. Okay, Dr. Ross, scholarships.
Okay, scholarships, one of the most underutilized tools that are available to you. Many of the scholarships that are out there have a community involvement component or other criteria. There are scholarships like automatic entrance scholarships, where mark requirements do vary by institution, but often you'll get some financial scholarships based on your grade point average. Many of the scholarships are program specific, so it's important to consult individual websites for details. And many of them do require, almost all of them actually, require letters of reference. So whether you are asking your counselor or your teachers, please ask in advance. Okay, there are a lot of scholarships that are available. There are many that go unused. So oftentimes, I always encourage people, as we do here in guidance, to apply to every one that you possibly can, because sometimes you may be one of the very few. I've even seen it in the past where one person was the only applicant, because there are so many scholarships available. But they do take a lot of paperwork. They do take some time. And a lot of them do require letters of reference. So it is important that you are diligent with your timelines and that you do ask in advance to also give yourself the best opportunity to get that scholarship.
There is a resource that will be coming up very soon called the Scholarship Report. And we highly recommend that you look at that resource when we are able to post it. It's something that's exclusive to the PDSB. We have access to it, and it's a curated list of scholarships that are province-wide, and there's a fall scholarship report and also winter version with updated dates and information, but that is your kind of best place to look where it's curated for you. So as soon as we have access to that, we'll be sharing it with the grade 12 and really all our school community at this point.
Financial aid and OSAP. So post-secondary education can cost a lot of money and can be quite expensive. So there are resources there to help support you, such as OSAP, the Ontario Student Assistance Program, okay, which is a financial aid program that does help you pay for college or university, and also short for OSAP. And OSAP offers funding through grants, so money you don't have to pay back. Oftentimes they have those available for partial amounts, and a student loan, which is money you do need to repay once you've completed your schooling.
So this is where the Learn and Stay grant would come in. So this is where I'll link that information in future for you to explore.
So what OSAP can help with? So OSAP can help you pay for tuition, books and equipment, fees charged by your school, living expenses, and this is for full-time students only. So think about if you're living on residence, meal plans, etc., things like that. Childcare for those who need it, for full-time and part-time students with children. It is educationally oriented funding and loans, not to be spent on vacations and recreation. Okay, so Ms. Bridgman, you're going to jump in here.
Yeah. So I mean, so we've come to the end of our presentation. We've shared a lot of information with you. So really right now you are consolidating your thoughts around what pathway you're going to you're going to pursue. You probably have figured that out. Now you're taking a look at all of the different locations where your certain programs are offered and where you might want to attend, looking into how to apply as well. We again really encourage you to take a look at those fall open houses that exist. There's information in our newsletter all about that. That's posted there for you to take a look at the schedule and to, of course, visit our front foyer for all of the colleges and universities who are coming to Erindale. So it's kind of like a very much a one-on-one, which is terrific. So it's during the lunch hour. And then really it's a matter of also getting excited about what it is that is your plan. What do you want to study? So a lot of folks will be hearing about what their friends are doing, and they'll be thinking about, oh, well, you know, other people in my class. But you have to remember you're forging your own path. This is about you as an individual. We highly encourage you to share information, but make sure you're not comparing yourself to others. Okay, so this is an exciting time. And again, you're going to be moving on from Erindale once you're graduates, but you have to make sure that you know that your path can be very different from others. So a couple of other, you know, housekeeping points. When you are applying, again, we ask you to not use the Peel email, but you have to use your personal email and then check that email frequently. So that's something that we find that students are not checking their emails enough. And if you don't check your email, you may miss a deadline. And for some of those supplementary applications, you have to make sure that you're writing down the deadlines because they can't be extended. So just remember, the responsibility is yours, not your parent or guardians. And for some of you, you're coaching your parent or guardian who perhaps were educated elsewhere, who are new to this process. So make sure that you work together with your families to help educate them as well and include them as part of the process. So we're always here to help you, and we're here to answer your questions, but you must make your own decision about where you would like to attend, when you would like to attend, what path we plan to pursue, etc. So Dr. Ross, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so very, I guess, just kind of key points are these, and in addition to what you said, these are independent applications, which means you have the independent responsibility to ensure everything is right and correct on these. Okay, so please do your own independent research and confirm details for your program and your application personally and independently, meaning pay attention to timelines, pay attention to prerequisites, confirm these prerequisites and timelines, and please do not rely on somebody told you what they were, but actually go in and check for yourself to confirm, because you are the best verifier of this information. So timelines, prerequisites, and best of luck on this journey to you.
Okay. Because we have recorded this presentation, what we're going to do is offer an opportunity for questions once the recording has ended, but also we're going to be posting some dates in the future about some open times where you could come and ask questions, and we'll post the location and dates of those different opportunities so that we can help you along this journey. Okay, so thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to stop the recording in a minute.